for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park, the championship meet, running now through Florida Derby weekend, March 31st.
Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning. Welcome to Racing Across America on a chilly morning in the Northeast and really around the country, around much of the country. So hopefully you're staying warm, hunkered down, and enjoying us. Just wrapped up the Handicappers Report, giving some thoughts on Gulfstream and Fairgrounds. And normally on the Handicappers Report, we would also look at New York racing. But with the weather situation, let me update you. Aqueduct is canceled for today. So is Charlestown, Laurel, Oaklawn, and Turfway. They're all on the sidelines today, given the weather situation. Very, very cold temperatures. There's also been some snow around. So, again, not racing today, canceled today. Down in Arkansas, Oaklawn, Aqueduct, Churchill, Laurel, and Turfway. Oaklawn, a few days ago, announced their whole weekend is canceled. So Oaklawn will be on the sidelines again tomorrow. The other tracks that would normally run on Sunday are, at this point, still hoping to be going tomorrow. But again, no Aqueduct today, Charlestown, Laurel, Oaklawn, or Turfway. They're on the sidelines. But this afternoon here on the network, we will have some Gulfstream, some Tampa, some Fairgrounds. Fairgrounds has an early start today. They'll kick off at 1 o'clock, which, again, works out great given the situation. We'll have all of that, plenty of action this afternoon, including that great stakes card at the Fairgrounds. We'll also, a little bit later on, have some Santa Anita as well. So it should be a fun day. Don't forget, Future Wager, Kentucky Derby Future Wagers this weekend. I mentioned earlier, if you go to the Kentucky Derby website, top of the page, hover your mouse over racing, a drop-down menu will come. You will see Future Wager. You click on that, and you can get some free pass performances for the entrance in the future pool. It closes tomorrow, Sunday, at 6 o'clock. Don't forget, also, here at the Clubhouse Racebook today, $100 trifecta challenge. Come down with the heat's on. So you can come down here and stay warm and watch some racing, grab a little lunch at Fredella's, and enjoy racing and the $100 trifecta challenge. Maybe win a little extra something, have a little extra fun right here, Clubhouse Racebook today, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. One more note on the weather and cancellations and whatnot. It just goes to show you these situations, a bunch of dominoes start to fall because Oaklawn has announced changes to next week's racing already, because they're not only canceled racing, but given the situation with track surface and the chilly and the freezing temperatures, they were not able to train for much of this past few days or whatnot. And so horses weren't able to get their last workouts in anticipation of next week's stake schedule. So Oaklawn announced a couple of days ago, Thursday, that the entire Southwest Stakes card, all the stakes that were going to be run next Saturday, they're still planning to run races next week at Oaklawn, but they're moving next Saturday's stakes card to the following Saturday, February 3rd. So the January 27th stakes at Oaklawn have been moved to February 3rd. Again, given the fact that some of these horses haven't been able to get their proper workouts in anticipation of that stakes schedule. So again, they'll be back racing at Oaklawn next week. But the stakes schedule from next Saturday has been pushed back a week. So keep that in mind going forward as well. All right, on today's show, again, great stakes day at Fairgrounds. And we taped a couple of interviews yesterday in anticipation of this. A little bit later on, we'll have Mark Casse come on. He has stakes runners in a couple of the stakes at the Fairgrounds, but also has a runner in a stake tomorrow at Gulfstream. Next week in the Pegasus Turf, planning to run web slingers. So we talked about all of that and more with Mark Casse. But we also talked to our friend Joe Kristufek, the paddock commentator down at Fairgrounds, and got some of his thoughts on all the great stakes action coming up this afternoon at the Fairgrounds. So we'll send it to our friend Joe K, and get some of his thoughts on the stakes a little bit later on, Mark Casse and more. Stay tuned. Up next, Joe Kristufek. Saturday, it's another one of the big days down at the Fairgrounds. They have a number of them during the meet where they hit on 3-year-olds always highlight it leading into the Louisiana Derby, but the undercard features stakes races in various divisions as well throughout the meet down there at the Fairgrounds, and the undercards are always a lot of fun also. So who better to reach out to than our friend Joe K, Joe Kristufek. You see him do the pregame show down there, doing the paddock commentary as well. Joe, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Seth. Yeah, I think that's an important thing that people need to recognize. We got an early post, which, for you guys, East Coast time is 1 o'clock. For us, it's noon. But these early races, these undercard races are always stacked. You get, horses that are eventually going to run in races like the Risen Star and the Rachel Alexandra in these maiden and allowance races. And handicapping-wise, a lot of times you can find more value in those races than you can in some of the stakes. So the whole card from top to bottom is fantastic. Stakes came up very good, and we should be in good shape weather-wise.
Well, give us a little update on the weather. We're actually recording on Friday, but you're the whole country, well, the middle and east part of the country, before we went on the air, I was talking about our temperatures up here in upstate New York. But watching you, you're much better than we are, but still it looks like maybe a little chilly for New Orleans.
Being from Chicago, when I first came down here, I used to make fun of people for saying they were cold when it was 50. Now I've become one of them. Seriously. And we don't have central heat in the shotgun house I live in. We've got space heaters, so they've been on full blast. It's been in the 20s at night. Then one day it'll be 55, and the next day it'll be 40 for a high. I think for Saturday's race day, we're going to be in the mid-40s for a high, but no chance of rain, so fast and firm is the most important factor. It'll be a little on the chilly side for what we're used to here, but certainly if you were here, Seth, you would think it was a beautiful spring day.
I can remember years ago being on the beach down in Florida, probably about this time of year. I'm in a bathing suit. I have the suntan lotion slapped on, and a local walked by me in a parka. It had me it was probably 68 degrees. But yeah, I guess you just get used to it when you're in those kind of areas. We should also mention there's a nice all stakes pick 5 with a $250,000 guarantee. That's going to be races 9 through 13.
Yeah, and we'll blow that guarantee away, I would guess, especially with the fast and firm conditions and the good sequence. And it's just nice to slap a guarantee on there. Like I tell the management at Fairgrounds in Churchill, it gives me something to promote. Give something for people to target, and it just, draws more attention to it, so to speak.
You're absolutely right. People love the pick 5, and I think if you put that guarantee up, that gets the juices flowing. But people now love the pick 5. So again, it'll be races 9 through 13 and all stakes pick 5. And before we look at the races, because I pulled up I always like to get the human side of things, and now we're a ways into the meet, jockeys and trainers. And at top of both of the lists, names that folks might not be familiar with. Guerrero topping the jockeys list, and then more familiar names, Loveberry, Ray Lou, who here from upstate New York sits number 3, James Graham, and Brian Hernandez. But over on the trainer side of things, a lot of people might not be familiar. Shane Wilson sits with 29, running next, tied for second, Brad Cox and Brett Calhoun with 12. And Shane Wilson also has started 152 horses compared to the next closest, Brett Calhoun, with 82. So Shane Wilson, as they say, a name that might not be familiar to people up here, is off to a blazing start. Has been since the beginning of the meet, but it continues down at the Fairgrounds.
Yeah, you said he's got the numbers, right? He started almost twice as many horses as anybody else. He's still winning at a good percentage. The big boon for the Shane Wilson barn this season was Britland Stables, Evelyn Benoit moving her horses over to his barn. So not only more numbers for Shane Wilson, but more quality too. Been winning races in every category, from stakes races down to lower level claimers. A lot of Louisiana breds, but he and his son Connor do a nice job They've been coming to fairgrounds now for the last couple of years, and they've grown in prominence every year to the point now where they look uncatchable in the trainers race just based on the pure volume. We know Brad Cox, Steve Asmussen will have big days on days, like the Road to the Derby Day card coming up here at fairgrounds. But Shane Wilson, credit to his barn, and doing a great job. Brad, Steve, Brett Calhoun's barn has been hot in the last couple of weeks too, so he's been climbing up the standings. But Shane Wilson, definitely uncatchable.
Yeah, I remember when he got off to the hot start, I read an article, maybe the racing form of the Blood Horse, or it might have been even the notes from the Fairgrounds website, but it said he was quoted as, "Yeah, we kind of targeted the beginning of the meet, and we really wanted to get off to a hot start. Mission accomplished, Shane. Great job." So again, folks can keep their eyes there. All right, let's jump in, and we'll kind of work our way back from the end of the card, which is the highlight, the exclamation point on Saturday afternoon. It's going to be the LeCompte Grade 3 event, couple $100,000 up for grabs for the 3-year-olds going 8.5 furlongs. I pulled up a replay of the Gun Runner because Track Phantom, the number 8, the winner, comes back, as does Nash. Nash is going to be the number 6 horse here, who came off of that big performance at Churchill to break the maiden and went off as the 1-2 favorite in the Gun Runner and disappointed running third. Well, it was the first stakes try. It was stepping out of maiden company. I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass. I have him in second, but I'm curious to see what Nash does on the rebound here. I put Track Phantom on top. I thought the Mark Casse runner Can Group could be a little bit interesting as well. Interesting also with the surface switch for Can Group, and I'm going to talk to Mark Casse on the show later. So I'm going to get a little info on that surface switch, but give us your thoughts in the LeCompte.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have been more bullish on Nash going into the Gun Runner, but I wasn't nearly as bullish as Brad Cox was. I mean, he thought the horse was going to put on a show, and he certainly did. And he was a little bit uncomfortable, Seth, going into that first turn. And, his first 2-turn try was on the lead. I got a feeling from the inside post, even though Track Phantom has legitimate speed, that they're going to take their chances and at least hold that position in and out of the first turn and let the horses sort themselves out on the backstretch. Nash's race 2 back at Churchill was too good to not remember. And I'm with you. I think he's got a great chance to bounce back. And quite frankly, leading into the Risen Star and leading into eventually the Louisiana Derby, we want to see these horses bounce back. We want to see them run well. We want to see, those rivalries develop. So I give Nash a very slight edge. Also very interested in Lat Long, who was second best behind Track Phantom at Churchill Downs in the maiden race and had a difficult trip that day, and then won at Oaklawn last out, won pretty easily, but seemed to lose focus in the stretch before re-breaking late. I think he's got some room to develop moving forward. And the Ethan Energy, Brad Cox's other runner, ran about a half second slower in his maiden win than Track Phantom did in the Risen Star. So I think he's got some room to improve, and he gets Luis Saez. And, if there's a pace battle up front, he's the horse that could take advantage.
And I will remind people that the Derby Future Pool 3 is this weekend. It closes at 6 o'clock on Sunday. And I always recommend on weekends like this, hold off until LeCompte is run. And you don't want to jump on some horse that the odds are going to come way down, because on these future pools, you want to look for some value. And maybe you'll find a little something. Maybe you'll find a sneaky trip you can jump on as well. But again, I tell people, keep the powder dry until after the big races are run on these kind of weekends, because you have until 6 o'clock on Sunday. Anything you're interested in the future pool?
I have not had a chance to dive in yet with the busy week. I normally save that stuff for Sunday after the dust settles. Yeah, and that's the best time to bet anyways. But, this pool does have some current form, but still a lot of horses being offered, especially with so many more horses and individuals being offered than in years past, where you've got the combination of current form and upside. So I'll be looking at that more on Sunday. Yeah,
with the increased number of entrants, there's a lot of chance to find some value. And you in January, February, you want to find some value, certainly, because they still have to make the gate to get your money. All right, race earlier on the card, race number 12 is the Louisiana Grade 3 event, $175,000. A mile and a 16th is the trip. I pulled up a replay of the Tenacious, again, going back to the last big day down there, December 23rd, we're going to see the number 6 5-star General get it done. I went with 5-star General on top, but I looked at Saudi Crown. I put him right underneath Saudi Crown, of course, the Pennsylvania Derby winner for Brad Cox as a 3-year-old, then well beaten in the Breeders' Cup Classic. But I could see that one rebound. I think Smile Happy is interesting from Ken McPeak. And I've always liked Red Route 1, a horse that will appreciate the long stretch, I would think. But again, off the win in the Tenacious, I went with 5-star General. Your thoughts in the Louisiana?
Yeah, 5-star General's winning in the Tenacious was legitimate, always rooting for Grant Forster, and I think there's some questions about the favorites. I mean, reading, and Kevin Kilroy does a great job, talking to these trainers in the morning and just reading Kenny McPeak's quotes about Smile Happy. I don't think he knows what to expect because this horse is kind of an alpha, and he has some trouble. Prior to his starts, he delayed the Stephen Foster at Ellis Park in his last race because he didn't want anything to do with the starting gate. So we'll see how he acts. He's going to be one of the favorites. If he brings his A game, obviously as good as anybody. Reading Brad Cox's quotes in regards to Saudi Crown, he kept using the word hope, hope, hope. They hope this is a good horse. They hope he can run well and go to Saudi for his next start. Speed figure-wise, the way he ran as a 3-year-old, right there with Smile Happy is the one to beat. Mentioned 5-star General. I like Capuna. I like Capuna at 15-1. He's had his ups and downs in his career. I really think this is a 2-turn horse who's been sprinting and going 1-turn mile, 7 furlongs, 1.5-turn mile at Ellis. If you look back to some of his route races from earlier in his career, he was pretty darn good, and he hasn't been given an opportunity recently. Hard spun, Malibu Moon mare, natural speed, outside post. Ran huge last time at Churchill going 7 furlongs. Has trained well since. I don't know that you're going to get 15-1, Seth, but I would guess 8-1 on the low end on Capuna, maybe upwards of 10 or 12-1. But he's one of my better long shot plays of the day.
Yeah, I think you'll get a price. I'm going to be interested to see now that you brought it up, though. And as you were talking, that one is a little bit interesting. Has a little bit of early speed. And the aforementioned Raylu on board. It's a kind of a fun, interesting race, no doubt about it. All right, the Colonel Bradley, race number 11. We're on the turf for this one at 8.5 furlongs, $100,000 up for grabs. I went back to the Diliberto on December 23rd. We're going to look at number 12, 2 Emmys getting it done, who a very talented runner. Certainly, Beatbox, the number 10, runs second. I like Beatbox on Saturday afternoon off of this second in the Diliberto. I think there's speed, strong quality, certainly for Mark Casse will be out there. I thought there was maybe Rising Empire would challenge a little bit, maybe Brigadier General, but I thought with the nice closing run from Beatbox that we saw in the Diliberto, he was going to be interesting in this one. What do you think of the Colonel Bradley?
Yeah, you see that stretch run of the last race, the Diliberto, and you see Johnny's Fireball with the big white blaze on the far outside. That was our horse. We ran 5th. He ran a great race, didn't have great position early, and I kind of wish we were in this race. I mean, I'm not sure if you know the story about 2 Emmys, Seth, but ill-fated. He got in a really bad training accident here a couple of weeks ago and had to be euthanized.
Right.
It's just an absolutely horrific story. So obviously he's not back in here, and changes the complexion of the race in comparison to the Diliberto. But I think strong quality pretty much picks up where 2 Emmys would have left off. On the lead likely here for Florent Giroux and Mark Casse with the rails down on the turf course. He's running some grade 1 races on the turf and has held his own. He blew our doors off at Churchill in that off the turf race, although Johnny had some trouble out of the gate. Strong quality looking good that day. It was on the dirt. He ran on the dirt at Oaklawn last out in the tinsel and ran well, but I think he's a better horse on the turf, and I think he's the horse to beat in here. Protonic Power would be my sleeper from the rail, but I think maybe as a controlling speed or maybe sitting second if Brigadier General goes, I'll take strong quality on top.
All right, sounds good. 10th race on the Saturday card is the Silver Bullet Day. 3-year-old fillies going 1 mile and 70. And I pulled up a replay from the Untappable. These were 2-year-old fillies, obviously, back in December. It's going to be the number 1 Alpine Princess getting it done. Running second will be number 6 West Omaha running third. Number 3, Sistina Chapel. West Omaha and Sistina Chapel run on Saturday afternoon, and I put West Omaha on top. I have perfect shot in the second spot off the maiden breaker last time for Steve Asmussen. Miss Code West, very intriguing to me, an Oklahoma bred who stepped outside of that Oklahoma bred company last time in the trapeze at Remington and completed a 4-for-4 record so far. I'm really intrigued with Miss Code West, but I'm going to go with West Omaha. What did you see in the Silver Bullet Day?
Yeah, we see it similarly. I'm intrigued by Miss Code West too. I think there are a couple of others that have some speed, particularly Pay Good, who will be stretching out if she does indeed run in the Silver Bullet Day. You know, West Omaha was second in the Untappable, but Alpine Princess pretty much cruised on the lead that day. She's going to wait the Rachel Alexander, from everything I'm hearing from the connection. West Omaha represents the barn here. She's going to have a great trip. She was kind of in tight between horses nearing the far turn, was 5 wide off the far turn, and finished very well to be second, beating only 2 lengths. You look around at the rest of these. Sistina Chapel was third in that race, but she had a dream run up the rail. And, you know, you mentioned Miss Code West. Perfect Shot is progressive for Steve. Won the 2-turn debut going away to break the maiden. She's one that can obviously take another step forward, and I'll be utilizing her in the multi-race wagers. But West Omaha looks pretty much like a standout to me in here.
Yeah, stepped from maiden special company into that Untappable last time, so got the stakes experience. That's the scenario, though, for Perfect Shot, stepping out of maiden special and into a stakes race for Steve Asmussen. Perfect Shot for me, going to be interesting to see where the odds shake out, because if there's enough value, I'll play around a little bit with that one, despite, the class move. All right, the Carrance Memorial, race number 9 on the card. Saturday afternoon, $100,000 up for grabs for the ladies, going 8.5 furlongs on the turf. Pulled up a replay from the Blushing KD. It's going to be number 3, Lovely Princess, getting it done over number 7, Cairo Dance, and then number 6, Join the Dance in the third spot. I put Lovely Princess right back on top off of the nice gutsy head victory last time over Creative Cairo, and Join the Dance third. So I have Lovely Princess on top, but I put Tefani in the second spot, the Michael Stidham runner, with a couple of big closing efforts in the last 2, including the Pago Hop last time on the 30th of December. I think that one's really intriguing. Your thoughts on the Krantz?
Yeah, we see it similarly again, and I hate to be a chalk-eating weasel in a lot of these stake races, but I've got some prices earlier on the card, and again, that's why I try to inspire people to look at those earlier races, particularly to find maybe a little extra value. Lovely Princess won over Creative Cairo, but she did not have a great trip. She was in tight on the first turn. She got shuffled back. She was in tight between horses on the backstretch. She made a nifty move to the rail and got the lead and really dug in late when it looked like Creative Cause was going to run past her. You look around at some of the others, and you mentioned her. Tufani was very impressive in the Pago Hop. That was her final opportunity to run against strictly 3-year-olds. So against older, this is a tougher field. And Ben Curtis and Mike Stidham have just been on fire as a team here the last month or so. She would be the main threat to me. I think Lovely Princess is going to get a great trip, stalking, maybe a pocket trip from the rail. And then the other one would be Fancy Martini, who just has been the model of consistency. Claimed 3 different times for $80,000 for races like this, so we'll see how she does.
And that was one of those races, we just watched the replay there. It was one of those races we're watching live. Wait, Creative Cairo didn't win that race? But when the photo was developed, no, it comes up in second. And again, it was a very, very nice run. All right, also want to look a little bit earlier on the card. Race number 4 is going to be the Duncan Kenner. And let me just get my PP set here. There we go. 4th race, the Kenner. We're looking at older horses going a quick 5.5 on the turf. And on top, I have a horse I have liked throughout the career, because you just have to love a horse like Just Might. Turf, dirt, doesn't make a difference. This one can win on either surface, and scored in the Shearer Memorial last time, sprinting on the turf right down there at the fairgrounds. We're going to take a look at that one. Sasua Summer ran second in that race, comes back from the Florida base for Bill Mott. I have that one in third. Splitting those two, I used Minnesota Ready, who I think could be a little bit intriguing off the third place finish when we watch the Shearer, but just might, as I say, the Michelle Lovell trainee, just a hard horse not to root for. I have that one on top. What are your thoughts in the Kenner?
Well, based on your stakes picks, if you have a big day, so am I. We're on the same page. A lot of these races. I mean, Just Might ran huge in the share. 21-2, 44-1. Those are ridiculous fractions on the Stall Wilson turf course. And I think he missed the track record set by about a half a second that day. And, the conditions weren't necessarily conducive to that. Who's going to press him? I mean, Pirate Rick, he might press him for a little while, but, you got Rosario aboard. Does that suggest a change in tactics? I don't think trying to change his tactics is going to help him whatsoever. And if he does challenge Just Might early, he's going to get, battled into submission, so to speak. And then the other contenders that you mentioned are all closers. I mean, Tasua Summer, Evan Singh, putting the blinkers on. That seems like a bit of a stretch for Al Stahl, trying to do a little something with him. And Minnesota Ready, a horse that I've always liked and have cashed lots of tickets on. He's legitimate too, but there's just not a lot of speed in a short field, and Just Might's got the rail. If he just breaks well, I don't think he's going to have to go 44 seconds this time. And the other horses couldn't catch him last time. So that's kind of the way I see it as well. I think he wins back-to-back stakes here.
Very good. So there's a look at the stakes. Don't forget that 9 through 13 that we talked about have a guarantee on the pick 5. All stakes pick 5, $250,000 guarantee. As Joe said earlier, I totally agree. They will blow through that because folks love the pick 5. So keep that in mind for Saturday afternoon as well. And Joe, you mentioned the undercard. There's one. I don't know if you have your PPs in front of you. I don't want to put you on this. Okay, second race. I thought was a little bit intriguing. I'm going to use Springtown on top at 8-1 from Asmussen by Speightstown. It's a state-bred race, though, and that's what intrigues me. Wish Carefully in the second spot. But I have He's Just Lucky in the third spot. And normally I do not handicap based on owners, but I found it very intriguing. Dean Reeves has been very successful with the New York bred program up here, and I wonder if he's looking around the country and saying, boy, that Louisiana bred program is pretty interesting. So he has a Louisiana bred, and He's Just Lucky. I'm going to play around a little bit with that horse, just as I say, based on the ownership. You have any thoughts in the second?
Yeah, being able to read between the lines like that is an important skill in handicapping and wagering. And I pride myself on, looking into angles like that as well, Seth. And you'll be happy to know that I have heard a little bit of buzz about this horse as well. The pedigree looks a little turfy to me. Breaking Lucky, Looking at Lucky, Unbridled Song Mare, a little bit turfy on the dam side. So maybe that's what this horse will eventually want to do. But like I said, I've heard some buzz that this horse is training well in the mornings on the main track. So, I think Wish Carefully is going to be tough to beat in there. It's been chasing some of the better Louisiana breds and Carpus, who came back to run second in a stake, and then Audi for Steve Asmussen last time, who was bet down to odds of 4-5 in that maiden special weight race on debut. Michelle Lovell's having a great meet, obviously for, reasons that make a lot of sense considering she trains for us. I love to see her do well. And I think she might get another one with Wish Carefully, who's been knocking on the door.
All right, very good. Folks can watch you on the pregame and find your picks over on the Fairgrounds website as well. The paddock commentary throughout the afternoon. As always, Joe, before we let you go, always like to catch up. Brilliant Racing, your racing partnership. You mentioned Johnny's Fireball, and I've been watching the Twitter feed and whatnot. I am waiting for the John Dooley namesake. Dual Garreau, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, you got to brush up on your Cajun. It's Dual Guru.
Okay. All right. Very good. But, and I should have pulled up the workout the other day because he had a nice little workout as well.
Yeah, he's getting there. He needs about another month, maybe 6 weeks before he can debut. Greg Foley's very deliberate. I would say, taking his time, making sure these horses, develop at their, rate. You've got some baby problems here and there. Same with White Abarrio's little brother that we have as well. Looking forward to seeing him run, and he should be, closer to a race. Diamond Lord. We're just in a holding pattern. We've got so many on the come right now And then Johnny's Fireball, Norm decided to take this race off. He had a fantastic workout the other day. I kind of wish we were in the race on Saturday, but Norm does right by his horses, decided the horse needed a little bit of a break, back in training now and likely targeting the next one. So we'll have some runners in the next few weeks here at Fairgrounds, and definitely getting loaded up for Kentucky once we return there.
All right. Looking forward to it, certainly. Joe, as always, appreciate the visit. Good luck to you and everybody Saturday afternoon down at the Fairgrounds, and we'll talk again.
Yeah, I'll tweet the selections out, the link out for the Saturday pick. Doing it in a new form, the grid form now, where you get the A, Bs, and Cs, and I kind of give you some idea as like the horses I like best on the card, et cetera, et cetera. I think it can help people in the multi-race wagers. So if anybody has any opinions on what I'm doing now for the Fairgrounds meet, feel free to reach out. Always love interacting with the fans.
Love it. And we have your Twitter handle right up there, or your X handle. I always get that wrong now, up on the screen. And so folks can check that out as well. Joe, appreciate it. As I say, we'll talk again.
All right. Cheers, Seth. Always a pleasure. Good luck.
Joe Kristufek from the Fairgrounds. Big day on Saturday. Looking forward to it. Hopefully you are too.
And they're off in the Pegasus World Cup. They're off in the Fountain of Youth Stakes. And they're off in the Curlin Florida Derby. Forte wins. White Arboreal almost home.
And Nyquist is still unbeaten. Orb and John Velasquez have won the Florida Derby.
Barbaro wins.
And there you have it. Northern Dancer will be the winner of the Florida Derby.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Big stakes day at Fairgrounds on Saturday, and Mark Casse has a couple of runners entered in some of those stakes, and then another one on a stake on Sunday at Gulfstream. So thought we'd reach out and get a little update and some thoughts on those performers from Mark Casse. Mark, good morning.
Morning, Seth.
Happy to have you on board. And I will ask you, because normally during the Saratoga meet, we'll get you over on the backstretch over there. And I've been asking some of the horsemen over the past month since the announcement came out. Any thoughts on Belmont Stakes at Saratoga? Of course, it was not that long ago you had Sir Winston win the Belmont Stakes. But any thoughts on the race moving upstate this year?
Well, I mean, you know what? I think it'll be interesting, and I think it's a good move. And with you know, a lot of great things are going to happen at Belmont. We need it, and so this is just a little curve in the road.
I can tell you the excitement level I've been saying for the last few weeks. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's about 11 around here the last month or so. So people are looking forward.
Well, that's great. Yeah. You know, and that's great to hear. That's great to hear.
Yeah, no, it's people are absolutely excited, looking forward to it. Also, we haven't talked to you since the end of the Woodbine meet. We have a nice relationship with the folks up at Woodbine. Try to get up there and cover some of the races each year. And just wanted to congratulate you on another great Woodbine season. Leading trainer up there with 113 wins, the clear leader up there. So, again, congratulations on another great season at Woodbine north of the border.
Oh, thanks, Seth. You know, Woodbine is near and dear to us. You know, it's just as you know, you've been there. It's a wonderful place. It's been good to us, and hopefully it continues. But I was we had what I considered one of our better years.
Yeah, absolutely. Winning King's Plate and some other nice stakes races with some of your good performers. I've never asked this of a Woodbine trainer before, but I know a number of horses you watch at the beginning of the season, they haven't raced since the last Woodbine season. So do you have those types in your barn, those types of, for lack of a better term, Woodbine-only horses? And if so, where do they go and what do they do until it reopens in April?
That's a good question. It's our feeling, it's my feeling that horses need a break. I think it's nice to give them a break. So a lot of our Woodbine horses, we bring them to Ocala and get them ready there. Now, I have to tell you, over the last couple of years, a lot more of them are running during the wintertime, and that has to do with the Tapeta at Gulfstream. Mm-hmm. I think you'll see the same thing when Belmont gets their synthetic track. You're going to see more and more Canadian horses probably come and compete there, simply because there really are three different tracks. You've got horses that love the dirt, you've got horses that love the turf, and you have horses that love the synthetic. I have a filly called Solo Album, who's by Curlin, cannot run a lick on the dirt, cannot run a lick on the turf, and she is a synthetic running fool. So that's, a lot of these horses shut down for the winter time. They give them their breaks, but like I said, you're seeing more. You'll see a lot more of them running this winter at Gulfstream, and I'm sure that when Belmont starts, you'll see the same, and it's going to be a big plus. It's interesting. I know the experiment at Gulfstream has worked well. I was in a turf race the other night, a maiden $35,000 turf race, and we came off the turf, I think, one race earlier, and there were 0 scratches. 12 horses ran off the turf, the synthetic, and because we see it all the time at Saratoga, how when a race comes off the grass, how many entrants you lose, and that's not good for anybody. We need more horses running. It's better for the bettors. It's better for the owners. Better for the trainers.
That is very much what bettors like about that synthetic option. When the grass races come off, the races tend to hold together, and it's been that way going back to the early days of the synthetic. Is certainly one of the bonuses, and as you say, that'll start to play out in New York as well. And the wintertime, I think Turfway has become a little more popular over the past couple of winters, and their synthetic plays into that as well. I have to ask you, because you mentioned that you had a runner. I'll ask from a trainer's perspective, because as a handicapper, I tend to think if a horse does okay on the turf, they're probably okay on the synthetic, and vice versa. But you said you had a runner that wasn't necessarily dirt or turf, but really liked the synthetic. Is that an aberration? Are you like most bettors? Do many horses tend to, if they do well on the synthetic, they tend to do okay on the turf, or is it really kind of an individual?
Yeah, I would. She's an anomaly. 9 out of 10 of those horses that like synthetic will run on turf, and vice versa. The big stretch is obviously dirt. You're seeing less than, for the most part, and I've said this for a long time, in my opinion, most horses weren't born to run on the dirt. I mean, horses go back centuries, and they were born on the grass, ran on the grass. Dirt has just kind of come around in the last 120 years or so, 100 years. But synthetics is so close. The reason they like it, the horses, for the most part, that like turf, don't penetrate the ground very far. And that's the same thing that happens with Tapeta or synthetic. It has a little bounce to it. And so horses get over it a little better. And you'll notice, as we've seen in turf races, it wouldn't be unusual for a field of turf runners to be within 10 lengths from front to back, where if you watch dirt racing, it might be 30 lengths.
Yeah. And again, that's what we like about the synthetics. They do offer that alternative. I know as a handicapper, when I handicap, a track that has turf or dirt, I'll have a couple of different set of picks just in case the weather works out that way. But on a track that has a synthetic option, I just stick with the turf picks normally. And for the most part, it seems to work out pretty well. All right, let's take a look again. On Saturday afternoon, you have a couple of stakes runners I wanted to get to in the Lecomte, a grade 3 event, couple $100,000 for the 3-year-olds going 1 mile and 16. And this is kind of the case with both of your runners on Saturday. I'm interested to hear your take. We're getting a kind of a surface switch up. They both seem to have some ability on both surfaces, but have run well on the opposite surface most recently, and that certainly accounts for Can Group. Comes out of a nice try in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, running 4th last time. But prior to that, we're going to watch the replay of the Bourbon down at Keeneland in October. Can Group, the number 4 horse, nice gutsy nose winner in a field of 12. So again, the last 3 races have been on the turf. Talk a little bit about the move, turf to dirt, and what you expect from Can Group on Saturday.
Well, you know what, Seth? He's a horse that we've liked from the beginning. Of course, he ran on the dirt, but he was sprinting. And I don't know if you ran Can Group on dirt or turf, sprinting, he would fare very well. He obviously likes more ground. He's trained well enough over the dirt that we feel like he deserves another shot. I had a horse called Sir Winston. First time I ran him on the dirt, he got beat 20 lengths. I think I ran him back on the grass. He got beat 20 lengths. Ended up being a good synthetic horse. And then as we got went down the road a little bit, Tracy Farmer and I talked about it. So let's give him another try now on dirt since, he's getting more ground. And of course he went on and won the Belmont. War of Will started his career and ran 5 or 6 of his first starts on on turf. And then even though he had no pedigree for it, he was by a Warfront out of a Galileo mare or a Sadler's Well mare. We tried him on the dirt, and he, of course, won the Preakness. So I'm fortunate. I train for a bunch of different people that don't mind stepping out of the box. And look, Can Group's training very well. What's going to happen on Saturday, I'm not sure. But we want to give him another shot. And the sooner we do that, the better idea of what direction we want to head. There's also, and every owner gets it, and as do trainers, there's this thing, it's called Derby fever.
And I was going to say that when you have a good 3-year-old at this time of year, you have to give it a shot. And we just, as I say, watch the Bourbon. Big closing effort there on the grass, and that big long stretch down at the fairgrounds may play into him Saturday afternoon. And in that Bourbon, it was a field of 12, field of 8 scheduled on Saturday in the Lecomte, so doesn't have as much traffic maybe to contend with later on. But give me your thoughts. What are your expectations for Can Group on Saturday?
I really, I've said it, you probably putting training horses is putting a puzzle together. You keep trying the pieces. I'm just trying a piece. I'm going in with my eyes wide open and plan on, and, we'll see how he runs, and then we'll go from there. To sit there and tell you, I'd be lying if I said, well, we're going in, I know he's going to run good on the dirt. I can't tell you that. It's an experiment we're going to try, and when you win, you win. When you lose, you learn. So
I like that.
Hopefully we win, but if we don't win, we're going to learn. So
I'm stealing that. I like that. When you win, you win. When you lose, you learn. I like that. A little bit earlier, it is the Colonel Bradley. And again, I said both of your horses, it's interesting with the surface switches. Strong quality comes into the Colonel Bradley off a couple of nice tries on the dirt. Most recently, you went up and tried the Tinsel at Oaklawn and ran 3rd. But prior to that, we're going to take a look at the optional claimer, allowance optional claimer back in November at Churchill. Strong quality is going to be the number 6 horse here and get it done. And again, this was a dirt race. The last two were on dirt, but you go down the resume, has some nice turf performances as well. What were your thoughts here heading to the turf on Saturday with strong quality?
I just thought, you know what, he's a nice horse. He can do a little bit of both. I didn't think he handled Oakland's racetrack very well last time. Again, you know, it's a little cold there and it's a little looser sometimes. And he definitely has some turf tendencies, which means he likes a little firmer ground. He likes some moisture in it. And if you look at his race at Churchill, it was a race off the turf. He loved the going there, and he just kept going. We had two options. We could go in the turf race, which we opted to go to, or the dirt race there, and I can't remember the name of it, Seth, but on Saturday. We thought that was a better spot. I mean, I think he's 3 or 4 to 1. He's a nice horse. He just is a touch from being a really nice horse. I'm hoping, you know, as he's big, he's a big horse. He's 17 inches tall. He's beautiful. We're trying to win. When you win, you get some confidence, and we'll go from there. And I don't think it's going to happen looking at the weather forecast. But if the race were ever to come off the turf, he would, you know, have a big edge.
And I said earlier on these kind of situations where there's turf or dirt, I make a second round of picks, and I have him in the second slot on the turf, but I have him on top on the dirt. So I totally agree. Should there be a surface switch?
If there was a surface change, he would go to the top of the list for sure.
Yeah, but he still looks very, very live in there. All right. Also coming up on Sunday at Gulfstream, Bapio. And for folks who watch me enough, they know I love the kind of the subdivision of 3-year-olds on the turf. It seems like the races start at the beginning of the year, nice stakes races, and go to the end of the year at various tracks around the country. They all seem to have a nice little 3-year-old stake on the turf, and Bapio played in that division last year. We're going to take a look at Monmouth Park from June, the Jersey Derby. Bapio is going to be the number 1 horse and get it done. There was a little bit of a break from July until December. Bapio subsequently came back and ran in one of the last stakes for that subdivision in the Tropical Park Derby and ran a close-up third on the comeback. Now comes back Sunday at Gulfstream in the Sunshine Turf, 1 1/16 on the grass. What are your thoughts for Bapio on Sunday at Gulfstream?
I think he's going to run good. I thought his race back in the Tropical Park Derby was good. May have needed that race a little bit, and trained well since. Now I think he's gonna run against the older guys now, but he's a nice horse. He's not the easiest horse to ride in the world, and Javier's now ridden him a couple times, so he understands him a little better, which I think is important.
That's interesting because every once in a while you get a horse, you'll hear a trainer talk about a horse that does have the corks when they get it out there on the racetrack. And I'm guessing if you can get a guy back who's ridden the horse before, that is a bonus.
You know, yeah, I would say it's not a big deal 75% of the time. But you do have horses that do have some little quirks that it does help to have somebody that knows him. Even after his last race, Javier came back and said he tricked me. So he knows him a little bit. Yeah. So when you have a 4 or 5 time Eclipse Award winning rider that knows your horse, doesn't hurt your chances.
Yeah, no question about that. Also, I want to look ahead to next weekend because the invitations have come out. Web Slinger on the list for the Pegasus Turf. And again, Web Slinger played into that subdivision of 3-year-olds on the turf as well. And we're going to take a look again at one of the last stakes races in that subdivision from last year, the Hollywood Derby. Boy, this is a ding-dong battle. Program Trading is going to wind up winning by a neck, the number 8 horse, but your Web Slinger right there, the number 5, running a close-up second. And again, he was a nice player in that subdivision of the 3-year-olds on the turf as well. Give us your thoughts coming into the year and taking the shot next weekend in the Pegasus Turf with Web Slinger.
Well, he always strives very hard. He was unlucky a couple times. This is, I tell everybody, the 2-year-olds are high school guys, players. The 3-year-olds are college players. Now he's in the NFL. This is the big, mature, the best guys. This is a different kettle of fish. He's training well. We're going to have to figure out where he fits in.
And again, he certainly looked good against those 3-year-olds on the turf. Do you agree with me? I mean, as a trainer, that's got to be fun too. If you have a 3-year-old stakes quality turfer, because as I say, it seems like venues out, up here we have the Hall of Fame, but starts at Gulfstream. They wound up the season with the Tropical Park Derby. And then a couple of weeks ago, they kicked it off with the 3-year-old season with the Dania Beach. And then it just goes. Every venue, it seems like, has a nice 3-year-old turf stakes race. So if you have a good 3-year-old turfer, it seems like you're in clover for a year.
Well, and that's good. And it's the way it should be. I really do not like to run my 3-year-olds against older horses unless I have to. I'd much rather, I have no problem running fillies against colts. I don't like running my 3-year-olds against older horses. I have to. So you're correct. They do ride a lot of races that allow that. And that's good. A lot of it's just going to depend how, your 3-year-olds develop. I can remember, was it 10 years ago? I had this little filly and she was just a decent 3-year-old. Ran not great her last start, so I gave her a break and brought her back and as a 4-year-old, and her name was Pepin, and she went on and did great things. Similar with Got Stormy. She was a decent 3-year-old, gave her a little break, came back, and she ended up being, a really good older mare. Same thing with World Approval. World Approval was a solid 3-year-old, but given the time to grow up, he became a really good 4-year-old, 5-year-old. So this is a time where I do give my 3-year-olds a little time. This is a little bit rushed back, maybe, the Pegasus. Normally, if it wasn't that we were running for such a large amount of money, I maybe would have given him another 25 to 30 days. But we're going to give it a shot, and we'll see what happens.
Looking forward to it. And before I let you go, let's talk about one more 3-year-old and what might be ahead. One more 3-year-old from last year and what might be ahead. We touched on it earlier. Your great Woodbine season. We're going to pull up the King's Plate from last August. It's going to be number 13, Paramount Prince, getting it done in a field of 17. So you win the King's Plate. Again, part of that great Woodbine season from 2023. And I looked on Equibase and I saw that Paramount Prince has had a couple of works down at your base down there in Ocala. What's the game plan coming up this season for Paramount Prince?
Well, there again, there's a 3-year-old. We gave him some time off. It seems, he's training good. The problem, Seth, when you bring these horses back that are so accomplished, there's very few places that you can actually run them. So they come back and they have to perform at the level that they stopped on, and it's difficult. For him, I would like to run him in a synthetic race. He loves the synthetic. So I could see there's a handicap at Gulfstream. I want to say the first part of March, going 9 furlongs on the synthetic. That's my goal right now. My goal is to get a race into him maybe at Gulfstream, but mostly having prepared and ready for Woodbine in the spring and summer. So lots of big money for him there.
Yeah, very good. So we'll look for him sometime maybe down at Gulfstream. Mark, as always, appreciate you taking the time. Wish you good luck on Saturday at Fairgrounds, Sunday with Bob Bio at Gulfstream, next week as well with Web Slinger. But as I say, we appreciate the time, and we'll talk again.
Thanks for having me, Seth.
Yeah, appreciate it. Trainer Mark Casse, again, a couple of runners and stakes at the Fairgrounds on Saturday, Bob Bio at Gulfstream Sunday, Web Slinger next week at Gulfstream as well.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it. and see where it takes you. To enjoy every minute to its fullest and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Gulfstream Park's championship meet brings world-class thoroughbred racing to South Florida each winter, and it's a prime reason to offer the best turf racing possible. Having the best surfaces is the key to offering a superior racing product. We are committed to attracting the world's best horses, trainers, and jockeys to run over our exceptional course. Gulfstream Park's new turf course will be unveiled this December.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Welcome back to the Saturday edition of Racing Across America. Seth Merrow in the studio. Thanks for joining us, and thanks also to Mark Casse for taking time yesterday, and Joe Kristufek as well, hitting on some of that fairgrounds action and more with the two guests this morning. Appreciate that. Hopefully you did too, and hopefully you got some good information for racing this afternoon. And again, we're back this afternoon. I'll be back in about an hour or so to kick off OTB Live for a Saturday afternoon. And, you know, with cancellations, what we'll be looking at today, the two tracks down in Florida, obviously, we live vicariously, although not super vicariously, because, again, it's cold everywhere, colder than normal, but they're certainly better than us down in Florida. So we'll have a little Gulfstream, and Tampa Gulfstream is going to kick off at about 12:10. So, again, I'll be back in about an hour or so to look at that. Tampa will kick off at about 12:45, and an early post time today at Fairgrounds. So our time, they're going to start at 1 o'clock our time. So we'll be right in the thick of things as we normally would be for a Saturday OTB Live, taking a look at those three tracks. A little bit later on today, we'll have some Santa Anita. But for folks who weren't tuned in earlier, let me remind you, with weather, again, crazy this week in much of the country, we have cancellations today of Aqueduct, Charlestown, Laurel, Oaklawn, Turfway, and Freehold has now been added to that as well. So those tracks are on the sidelines for today. The tracks that normally would race Sunday are planning to be back tomorrow, except for Oaklawn. They announced they were going to cancel for the entire weekend. So Oaklawn is already out for tomorrow. But the other ones just today at this point: Aqueduct, Charlestown, Laurel, Oaklawn, Turfway, Freehold today. Don't forget also, starting next week, NYRA, you know, when they don't appear on Thursday, don't be surprised, because they're going to their wintertime 3-day schedule until early March, except for President's Day. They'll have a President's Day card that will make for a 4-day week. But NYRA goes to a 3-day card starting next week, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. Don't forget the Future Wager this weekend. If you like the Kentucky Derby Future Pool, I think they're fun. And now with the 40 entrants, you can search around and maybe find a clever idea or two. Certainly, if you find some value in the all others, that's always worth a look. And so keep your eyes open over the next couple of days. Pull up the live odds and see if you see something or a few things that may be a little bit interesting in the Kentucky Derby Future Pool. It closes tomorrow, Sunday at 6. You go to the Kentucky Derby website, click on the racing link or hover over the racing link. A drop-down menu will come up. If you click on Future Wager, you can get past performances, free past performances for the Future Wager field for this weekend. So keep that in mind as well. Some news that came out, Dave Grenig reported, drum roll please, the winner of the Jerome. I think it was yesterday, within the last couple of days, had a work and came out of it with a little bit of a ding. David talked to Al Gold, the owner, and looks like that drum roll please will be aimed for the summertime now. So a little bit of a, as I say, a ding for drum roll please. But he is scheduled to get a little surgery and be back hopefully for the summer. So there's a little news as well. Don't forget today here at the Clubhouse Racebook, $100 trifecta challenge. Extra fun to be had. Come on down. And it's warm here, so you can come in and enjoy the warmth of the Clubhouse Racebook. Grab a little lunch at Fratella's if you'd like, and enjoy all the racing action. And, of course, on the weekends, we have the sports on the TV screens as well. So that all happens today. $100 trifecta challenge this afternoon. Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All right, I'm going to wrap it up for this morning. Handicapper support, racing across America. Hopefully, again, we gave you some good ideas. The one sheet today on the website, luckily I had tossed picks for Fairgrounds on, so there's still a couple of live tracks, but Aqueduct is out of the mix. But again, because of the tracks that are running this afternoon, I've subsequently handled taking a look at some Tampa Bay. So I'll tweet out Tampa Bay selections as well. But if you go to the one sheet, Brian Edo has his Gulfstream Matrix. I have Gulfstream and Fairgrounds picks. So still plenty of action on the one sheet. But as I say, I'm going to add for TV this afternoon some Tampa Bay down. So I'll toss those picks out via Twitter as well. But if you tune in this afternoon, you'll hear them. Otherwise, again, we'll step back and we'll be out for about an hour or so and come back and fire up OTB Live for Saturday afternoon. Should be fun. Again, there is a little bit different action than maybe we normally would have had. There'll be no New York racing, obviously, in the mix with that track, Aqueduct being amongst some of the cancellations. But the two Florida tracks and the big day down at Fairgrounds are going to make it a fun Saturday afternoon. So come back in about an hour or so as we'll kick things off OTB Live for a Saturday afternoon. But Seth Merrow in the studio, appreciating your tuning in this morning. Thanks for watching. And again, back in about an hour or so with OTB Live, and we'll see you then. We'd like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park, the championship meet, running now through Florida Derby weekend, March 31st.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.